Alrighty guys, so been driving the OM606 w124 for, let's say, 400 miles. It was the past week up and down to work, and it's been pretty good. Like, I haven't been making full boost, so I've been only making 1.1 bar of boost, which is still a good amount. And the hesitancy at certain points of the rev range, which needs to be investigated. A couple of adjustments I need to make and everything like that to the fueling, possibly. I'm also going to swap out, you can see it there, it's already done, but I'll show you before it's done, the diesel slatted intake for the slatted wing that you fit, that has the air intake basically for the OM606 or for any of the diesels. I was sort of hoping not to have to fit that, but I will probably have to, or will have to run it. So yeah, so far it's been running pretty good. There's a couple of other things. The wiper runs ridiculously slow on its intermittent, like really slow. It stops at certain points and then starts again and everything like that. Now I have swapped out the relay and that didn't make any difference to that. It made difference, but just not to that issue. So I know that must be something to do with possibly the motor. I think I can hear it skim as it comes to an end. I think I can hear the motor just actually slip a teeth. So I'm going to open it up, I'm going to tighten down the thing. I also have tighten it down, see if that solves it or if it's loose or not. If it's not loose, I have a spare motor here from the later style. I'm hoping that will work. So that's one other thing. What else issue wise do I have to solve? I have to adjust the parking brake. The Bluetooth, at some point I'm gonna change the Blaupunkt head unit. I'm gonna modify it, hopefully, that the cassette player I'll be able to put in an empty cassette, and that will start a Bluetooth, the Bluetooth module, and I'll be able to connect to that, and then I'll have Bluetooth radio basically inside the car. Everything else, it's been pretty good all week, like, you know. Fuel economy is pretty bad. The rev range issue is like a starvation issue, but for some reason my fuel economy is like 21 miles to the gallon, 13 and a half litres per 100 kilometers, which is just crazy. My drivetrain isn't great for fuel economy, but I'm hoping I could get 30. I'll be really happy at 30 miles per gallon, because that will be around 10 litres per 100 kilometers, and that will be ideal for my commute. Obviously the more the better, but I'll be happy with that. Yeah, the only other thing, since I don't think I had this fitted, the little splitter, I think I had that fitted when we were last on, when I last did the video. So you can see there, that's the Astra G splitter. Don't mind the bumpers fitting pretty bad on that far corner. I need to make an adjustment. The mounts have rusted on that, and I think they're slipping, and that's the problem. So I quite like the splitter, to be honest. Astra G one, so standard Astra G, like 20 quid on eBay or whatever. But you see the way it just dips right in front of the intercooler either side. Yeah, aside from that, so it's all good. I'll check in with you throughout my kind of processes here. Okay, so I have wound up the actuator a very slight amount. I don't know if that's going to make a huge lot of difference, to be honest. I know it used to be a thing years ago, but I don't see how it's still going to operate at a certain PSI. All you're doing basically is maybe wearing out those joints. So if this makes any bit of a difference, I probably need to change that for a higher rated actuator. Anyway, what I did then was I wound up the fueling on boost. So the bottom one on the Alda. I don't know, you won't be able to see it. Let me see if you can get it. Yeah, so I've wound up that one there, so that it stops. Basically, when that lever comes around, it stops a little bit higher, so there's more fuel being given at that point. And if that's the case, if that works for my getting full boost a bit higher up, or if I get I want 1.5 bar basically, that's what I'm looking for. I think that's the efficiency, the max efficiency for that turbo. If that works to get me that that on boost, that'd be happy days. And what I'll have to probably do then is I'll probably have to wind forward the upper limit there, because my fuel economy is so drastically bad that there has to be something else at play here. I also want to adjust the idle speed and the hunt, but the slight hunt and the idle speed, I'm not too worried about them because I've taken the manifold off for that. I want to get this kind of right. So what I can do is bring her for a drive, see if I get my 1.5 bar boost, and I want to get it the whole way up in the rev range, and it's not a great day for testing. So once I get that, once I can see if I'm getting my 1.5 bar boost, ideal, that's brilliant. At that point then I can start trying to look at my fuel economy and what's affecting it so drastically, because I'm getting about 21 miles to the gallon. That's Imperial. 13.5 litres per 100 kilometres is what European, let's say, metric system. So that's quite bad. I should probably get in about 11 litres per 100 kilometres, or you know, kind of 20, or sorry, about 32, something like that, 30, 32, maybe 10 litres per 100 kilometres, something like that, is where I want to be. At that point, I can drive this every day and be quite comfortable. I know other people who say they get the whole way up to, you know, late 30s. That would be brilliant, but I'm not holding out for that, considering I have the automatic gearbox and that bad diff ratio. I'm going to change the diff at some point, so that might get me, you know, but I was working it out. The difference in my RPM at cruising speed is only 200 RPM. It's nothing major if I change the diff, and that diff does make it very drivable. Gives a good ratio for that. Anyway, I'll test drive this and see how it goes. Okay, so I brought it for a drive after the adjustment here and the slight adjustment on the actuator. And I got it from 1.1 to, let's say 1.1 bar up to 1.2 bar, so 0.1 of a difference of the bar. What I did notice is those high RPM pulls, you know, when I'm getting up to that limit, it doesn't want to go past, let's say, 4,200 RPM. That's like a limiter for it. It just, when it gets to that point, is a flat and it doesn't want to go anywhere past that. So I don't know what the story is with that. I disconnected the actuator just to see. First of all, when there's no load on it, I can rev it up to 5.5. I actually didn't go above 5,500 RPM, but I'm sure it will keep going. When I disconnected the actuator, the boost would go up, you know, really far, kind of over 2 bar, but I that was only for a split second, but it was freely moving up and down, but the car's performance was crap. Like, it wasn't using that boost. So I don't know what the story is there. But that's one thing I'm going to do, is that air filter is probably just sucking in hot air the whole time. Like, when that engine's running and it's up to temperature, it's just warm air that's getting. So I'm going to swap this out for the diesel slatted wing. I was hoping not to have to do that. I'm going to do that and see how it goes, if that makes any difference to, you know, the amount of air it's getting, and as such its performance. Drive it that way, and then when I come back, I'll give it a couple of more winds up on the on boost, the on boost supply, you know. Alright, and I'll see where we go from there. Alrighty guys, so trying to figure out this problem, and with just not getting enough fuel, I keep ramping up the on boost fuel, making no difference, and actually the hesitation is nearly getting worse. I noticed this, you can see that. And then I actually look down at my priming bulb, and my priming bulb is all out of shape, and it's actually pulling the vacuum on it. So I need to go down further to the fuel, to the tank, and just see what the story is. Why am I getting that vacuum? So going on from that bulb being kind of sunken in like that, what I ended up finding was that the valves inside that priming bulb had just failed, and what I did was I just basically replaced them out, and the car ran perfect. It was up at 1.4 bar, 1.5 bar from what I could see. It was nighttime, so I didn't really want to gun it, but it looked like it had worked as a solution to that problem. Only time will tell over the next week. Alrighty guys, so just got working on the mono wiper. As I say, it was moving slow. I knew that the relay had been swapped out. I didn't know the new relay was good, just knew that it had been swapped out. I knew that the motor was all greased up because it was one of these strange ones. This is a mid facelift, if you know what I mean. So it has the older style bonnet, but the newer side mouldings on it. And that, I don't know if it's all of them, but definitely in the 300s anyway, is a totally sealed unit. It's very difficult to get access to it. So actually what you have to do is, you have to crack it open and then worry about closing it after that. It's awkward. I believe there is a way. I can't remember quite how I did it. It was last couple of years ago I did this. Anyway, I knew that had been freshly greased and it was still moving slow. So then I swapped out the motor for one of the ones from a newer car, the actual electrical motor, and it seems to be just flying now. So that seems to be that problem solved. At the same point, the window here it was moving quite slow, or sorry, it was going down perfect, going up perfect sometimes, and then odd time it would just decide to stop on you, and then you'd have to hope to God that when you push the button it would go back up. So I had a quick look at that and gave it a bit of a grease just on the off chance that was the reason. At the same point, I take off the door card to get access to grease it. I don't think that was the solution, by the way. I think my switch might well have an inherent issue, because if I jab at it, I can get a bit of movement. So I think the switch in there might be an issue. I have a load of switches in the glove box for that exact thing, so at some point I'll swap that. What I did notice though was when I took off my door card that all the plastic, these kind of how would you describe it? Spot welds in the plastic. Basically, the plastic obviously comes through and then they get heated and they flatten down. Maybe a plastic rivet, you might also call it. I don't know. Anyway, I've noticed all of them were loose, if you know what I mean, and they were cracking and breaking loose. So what I did was I went round. That's the actual handle there, and then this one's for the lower cubby. Some of them you wouldn't dare do it, but on others you can. What I did was basically I just let the piece fall off. Oftentimes that was just a case of flaking it off. Drilled it with a really tiny drill bit, maybe 3 mil, something tiny, really small, and I just got these little self-tapper black screws and just sent them through, and they hold in nicely, and that seems to be the solution for that. So that's brilliant going for today. I'm happy enough. I'm going to put this all back together, and then I'll basically use the car for the next week, and then I have a few more little jobs I have to do. Like, I still need to do the parking brake. I don't know why I keep putting that off. It has to go up on the lift to do it, maybe. I also want to put the under tray back on this. I would like to get some kind of soundproofing for the bonnet. There is a felt underneath there, but I'd like maybe some kind of really heavy duty for that. And what else? Oh, there's a few different things basically. But anyway, that's for the time being. That's what I got done. That's the wing on it there as well. Mismatched, but it's going for paint at some point soon anyway. Alright guys, thanks for watching.